Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. My name is Ruru and I am a TV holic. Unfortunately, Mimi's not here again today, but I'm here. And it's just because she doesn't watch this show. And I do. I am going to try and convince her to watch the show, but I don't know how that's going to go down because she is currently very busy, so I'm not sure she'll be able to fit into her schedule. But we can only try. So, in the previous episode, I did episodes, I believe, 1 to 7 of Try Choo-ry, and I know that I didn't pronounce it properly, his name. I thought it was Cho Sung-hoon, but it's Choo Sung-hoon, I believe. I believe that I'm getting it right this time. Hopefully, fingers crossed, but again, sorry if I am butchering his name. I'm trying my best. I'm not Korean and I'm just trying to get it right. So anyway, so today we're doing episode 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and 13. Yeah, 12 and 13. So there's a lot I'm going to cover today. So I'm just going to go from the top. So the episode 8, that was, I thought, a bit weird. So they went to basically Choo Sung-hoon was basically in the Netflix South Korea studios, and he was dressed up as the Joker from Batman. And then there was this other guy who was dressed up as, I believe, someone from like an elf or something. I'm not quite sure what it was. I think from what's that place? That show. Why can't I get it? It's filmed in New Zealand. Lord of the Rings. I think it's Dobby or something, or I think they called him Dobby. Anyway, if you guys know who it is, comment below and let me know. Yeah, so basically this guy was dressed up as Dobby, like in really like full-blown like prosthetics and everything on his face, so he looked like totally bald and had these giant ears sticking out both sides. And I found this concept really strange because the guy they were interviewing this time was Kim Dae Ho. Kim Dae Ho, and he is a news anchor. So he said that he was basically a news anchor for like, I think about 13, 14 years. I'm not sure if I'm getting those numbers right, but he's been a news anchor for a long time on like, I believe a news channel or like one of the big channels on Korean TV. And he said he wants a change of career because basically they're not paying him as much as he initially wanted. Not initially wanted, but he was just like thankful for them to be in that job. So that's why he stayed that long, and the pay wasn't that great. So he quit, and now he's basically this whole episode is him going around the Netflix studio and putting his resume in various places, like in the canteen, handing it to random people, and basically like desperately looking for a job because now he's unemployed because he quit his job before finding a new one. I thought this was really like weird and random, like kind of desperate as well. And then after that, they were just asking him like, what do you want to do? Like, what would you like want to do? And he was like, maybe acting and stuff like that. And then he basically, I don't know how this happened. I can't remember the exact details, but he basically got kicked in the leg by Choo Sung-hoon. And it was like, it looked like a slow, like gentle tap, but I feel like he accelerated right at the end and I just couldn't see it because his reactions were like, his leg movement was too fast for me to see. But he like kind of keeled over. And oh yeah, so basically it was to get like a good reaction for like to show that he he's got acting chops basically. And yeah, so and he just totally keeled over, like fell on the ground, and he was like in agony. Um, yeah, I would never get a professional MMA fighter to, or like he's also a judo expert, like not judo expert. I believe he won 2 golds in judo in the Olympics or something like that. I would never get someone like that to kick me in the leg, even if they said that they were going to kick me gently, because they kind of like him and his co-host Choo Sung Hoon and his co-host basically like said that he'd kick him gently, but obviously it wasn't going to be gentle, and that guy just believed him. I just thought it was really strange how this guy was just like begging for a job all over Netflix, and his episode he wanted it to be like a job interview, like to showcase his talents to be on a Netflix TV show. Very random and weird episode. So that was episode 8. Um, Episode 9 was again really different. I love how all the episodes are very, very different, and it kind of gives me an insight as a non-Korean into what South Korea is like and what kind of like actors and like famous people and like what kind. It just gives you like kind of a really good insight as to what the TV landscape is like and the famous people kind of landscape is like in South Korea. So moving on to episode 9, and this was Bae Jung Nam, and I believe he is an actor, and maybe he was like a K-pop idol at one time as well. I can't really remember. I watched this like a week ago, so it's kind of rusty in my brain. I really should have like done this episode straight after I watched these episodes. Maybe I'll do that with the next lot of these. I'll just like binge watch a bunch of them and then just do the episode straight after. Record straight after my thoughts. I think that would be better. So yeah, so basically Bae Jung Nam, he is like he basically wanted to meet up at a traditional Korean house from like back in the day, from like a century old, like not maybe century old, but like a traditional house. I believe it's called a Honok. I'm butchering that probably. I don't know how to say it, but yeah. And it was like really beautiful and very traditional. And he was saying that he loves like the Korean history, everything to do with Korean history, and he's a collector and he collects like all sorts of things and mainly like flags. So he pulled out a bunch of flags, Korean flags, like from like war times, and one of them had like stains of blood on it, and then he was just talking about other things that he collects, and he has like this vast collection of stuff, and they were kind of in awe of like all the patriot can't even speak today, how patriotic he was basically, and how it was just like so like amazing that he's so in touch with, you know, the past of Korea. I thought that was really interesting. And he also said that he's not married, and he's like I believe 40 or in his 40s, and he wants to get married now. And he's basically looking for a woman who wants to live in a traditional Korean home, because he's always wanted to like get married and live in a traditional Korean home. So he said he's finding that a bit difficult because most women like want to live in a high rise, or like, you know, just basically apartments, like a big nice brand spanking new apartment complex. So he's finding that hard. I can't actually remember anything else that they talked about, but it was oh yeah, I think they no, I can't remember what else they did, but yeah, that was interesting. So moving on to episode 10. Episode 10, that was with Park Ji-hoon and Yoo Soo-bin. Again, sorry about the pronunciations. I'm working on it, guys. I've noticed when Koreans talk, it's very fast. So, and I'm reading the subtitles. So I'm trying to like understand how to pronounce the names, but they just say the names so quick, so it's very hard for me to like kind of like listen in properly without like rewinding like a million times. So I'm learning slowly. Okay, so basically these two, they are in a new Netflix show called Weak Hero Class 2, I believe it's called. And they were there basically to promote the Netflix show. And basically, Hoon was like, I'm not gonna let you promote it until you like do something. Like he made one of them spar with him because he said that he's always wanted to like do something like that. So then he had his boxing gloves and stuff, so he sparred with him, and then the other guy also sparred, I believe, with him. Oh, and one of them did a kind of like a dance. And what else happened with those two? So, oh yeah, then they had guns. So they were basically at a gun range. So they weren't real guns, they were like BB guns. So they were shooting and they were seeing like they broke up into teams of two. So they were trying to see like they had to win in order to be able to promote their show. So I believe they won and they got to promote their show, talk about their show a bit. And then they just also talked about things that they wanted to do, wanted to try, because that's what the whole show is about, trying new things. So they talked about those things that they wanted to try, like they wanted to try and like do like different, like I believe sporting activities and stuff like that, and traveling, things like that. So, what I think, because this is cloudy in my mind again, so I don't know if I'm getting confused with another episode or not. So, like I said, next time I'll be more prepared. This is just the only time that I had to record, so I'm just taking advantage of that time. So, episode 11, now we're moving on to. So, this was with Kwon Eun Bi. And this was different because there's never been an episode in the swimming pool. So she is, I believe, a K-pop idol and actress, and she basically wanted to learn how to swim properly because she is a host of a show called Waterbomb. So she has this show basically. It also airs in Korea, and other parts of the world. So I think Japan and Thailand and some other places. And she's like, it's kind of shameful. I don't know how to swim properly and I'd want to know how to save someone. So they did like a lifeguard training course kind of thing. So that was funny. Like she had to pull him out of the water, Choo Sung-hoon, out of the water and like save him and stuff. And then they all had a go at saving each other and stuff like that. And they also went into like a first aid like scenario. So the instructor was like, you have to first call for help and then call, I believe the number is 911 or 119 or something like that in South Korea, and get help. And then you can, don't go in the water. Try and stay outside the water and pull them when they've turned around to with their back facing you. Pull them out from their armpits or use their clothes to pull them out if they're clothed. And sorry about that, guys. That's I don't know if you can hear that in the background. It's an ice cream van that's moving past the building that I'm currently in, so it's getting louder and louder. Let's just wait for it to move by. Hopefully it just moves on really quick. I think it's moving on. It's getting quieter and quieter. Hopefully it goes, because it's pretty loud. Let's just wait a bit. So that was an interesting episode. And what else happened in that episode? Oh yeah, so I lost my train of thought for a second. basically they also did this whole like CPR thing. They were teaching them all how to do CPR. They used a dummy, and they also used each other to do compressions on chest compressions. And then they had this like defibrillator machine sort of thing that they used, and Chu Sung-hoon wanted to be basically electrocuted by it. Not electrocuted, but shocked by it. And they put it on him and stuff, and then he was waiting, he was like bracing himself to be like shocked, but it was just a fake one, so just for practice, so it didn't shock him. And the guy said that you can't really shock yourself. Oh, it's going again. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if you can hear the background music, but that's the ice cream truck again. So yeah, basically he was electrocuted. He wasn't electrocuted, sorry. I'm getting confused. He wasn't electrocuted, and it was just interesting because he thought he was going to get electrocuted, so he was bracing himself, like I said, and he didn't. And I didn't mention before, but in the previous episode when he was at the gun range with Park Ji-hoon and Yoo Soo-bin, he wanted to be shot by the BB gun, and they were like shocked that he wanted to do that. I think he just wants to do he wants to try, because like I guess as an MMA fighter and judoka, he has been hit a lot and doesn't really like fear pain or being hit. He just wants to see is it the same as like being hit and punched and kicked in the sport that I played, or is it different? Is it a different kind of pain? I think he's not very scared of pain, so he wants to try a lot of things. And he also has a giant bucket list of things that he wants to do. So then anyway, after they did that, they kind of went for snacks. They had snacks after the swimming lesson. Not swimming lesson, but the kind of lifeguard training kind of lesson. They sat down and were chatting. So they were just chatting to her and asking her what other things she wanted to do. And she said that she's got a sister who's also in the entertainment business. I believe it was her, I think, who said that she has a sister. And then she was just saying, talking about all the other things she wants to try. So she wants to try and do more acting stuff, and also wants to travel and do some other I think she's wanted to do some extreme sports stuff like skydiving and other things like that. That's what she was saying. That was interesting. So I'm going to swiftly move on to episode number 12. And this was kind of really different from all the other episodes as well. It was this guy who is, it was Yook Sung Jae. Yook Sung Jae. And I believe he's an actor. And he was in this horror show. I think he was there to promote the horror TV show or horror movie, I believe it was, that he's in. And he wanted to do, he basically said that he's afraid of ghosts and things like that because he's had experiences in the past with ghosts and things of that nature, the supernatural world. And he's always been afraid, so he wanted to kind of push himself to conquer his fear. So they met up with him in a haunted, abandoned house that was claimed to be haunted. So when he first got there was loads of jump scares that they kept doing to this poor guy, and he was I felt like he was going to have a heart attack. It was weird to watch because I just don't like people getting having shocks after shocks after shocks. I know some people finding it amusing, but I just felt bad for the poor guy, and he was just scared out of his he was scared shitless, basically. He was just terrified. So yeah, they made him look for the cue cards for the show, so the cue cards for Chu Sung-hoon and for his co-host. So they said that the basement is really haunted. The landlord said that the basement's really haunted, and they basically booby-trapped the basement with loads of those fireworks that you step on and they you throw them down on the ground and they kind of pop, make a banging sound. Those. And so he asked Chu Sung-hoon if he could come in with him to give him like some moral support kind of thing, and he agreed. So they both went. They were both a bit scared, and they went down there, and they were like they had one little tiny torch, and they were moving around. They're looking for these cue cards. One of the cue cards was in the toilet. So they lifted up the toilet, the back of the toilet, and they found it in there. And another cue card was on the foot of this mannequin that had like someone drew a face of Chu Sung-hoon on there, and they stuck it on the mannequin. And they got that. They also had a jump scare where there was a cameraman in there, like he was hiding in the dark, the cameraman. So I felt sorry for that cameraman as well, because he was in a haunted house hiding in the dark behind a door. So that was a bit weird as well. They just left him down there. And then they came back up, and he thought that he accomplished his challenge, and he felt really good about it. And then they said that they're having like some kind of like seance thing. So they brought in these two shamans, and like basically psychic and shaman, and they made them do like made him do like this seance, calling the ghosts to ask them questions. So basically they Chu Sung-hoon and him held hands, and they put a pen in between. So the pen was meant to move around. It didn't work. They tried twice and it didn't work. And like the poor guy was like again freaking out. Like he didn't want to do it, but he did it. He tried to be brave and do it, and nothing happened. So that was a relief. Then they asked the one of the shamans, the lady, like questions about their lives to see like what would happen in the future and stuff like that. So he asked like when would he get married and how many kids he'd have and things like that. And then Chu Sung-hoon asked about his life as well. Can't really remember what he asked, but yeah, that was interesting. I wonder if any of those predictions will come true. And then now moving on to the last episode that I watched, episode 13. This was really weird. This had I believe she's a idol, pop idol, and an actress as well. Her name is BIBI, and she wanted to go to a strange cafe. It was a cafe. I didn't get this whole concept because we don't have things like that in England, I guess, but it's like really big and popular in Japan. That's what Chu Sung-hoon was saying. Basically, they knocked on the door and they came in, and it was like kind of like a role play cafe thing. So these three girls were like dressed as like they called themselves angels. So they were angels, and then they were basically asking basically they were seated at a table, and then they were like role playing. So every time they wanted something, they were told by the angels that they had to say meow meow or something like that, ming ming meow meow, to call them. So it was hilarious watching like this big tough guy who is a MMM fighter go meow meow to call them. So that's how they were getting the laughs for the episode, basically. And then they were basically saying that they're in heaven. This is like heaven, and they're the angels. And like the woman that they were interviewing, BB, she basically wanted to come here because she's always wanted to come here, and she also said that she's always wanted to work at a place like that. Because it just looks like so much fun, and she didn't want to go by herself to a place like this, so she thought it'd be great to like go as a guest on this show for the episode. So yeah, they did that, and they just made it increasingly more like funny for the audience by him having to do like a spell to get their food and make their food taste delicious. So they ordered their food, and then they made him do this weird spell thing, and then he had to do his hand, like hold his hands like funny, and he was just getting really irritated, but he's a good sport, and I guess he has to do it for the show anyway, so he just did it. And yeah, he was enjoying himself. Not enjoying himself, he was like, I believe probably this was like one of the worst episodes for him, because they also made him dress up as they all had to be angels. So his angel name, can't remember what it was, but it was something to do with fighting or something like that. And they had to dress up. Think they put makeup on him as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, so it was strange and weird. I just didn't really understand the whole like allure of these kind of cafe thingies. They also invited some people that they knew. So like I believe it was her manager, um, someone's makeup artist or stylist, someone's stylist or something like that, and the other co-host, his co-host's sister. So they had to. Then they turned into. Then they were told that they have to become angels now as well, and they can serve because this is what BIBI wanted. She wanted to become a server there. So yeah, so they became angels together, and they had to do a spell for that as well. And then they had to serve these guests, which I believe that Hoon found like really irritating and humiliating, but he did it anyway. He was a good sport, like I said. And yeah, that was the episode. Um, I that was my least favorite episode because I just thought it was like cringy and like weird and like they were all acting like babies and like role playing. It was just not babies, like it was like really immature. It's not really my vibe, or I don't have really, I've never been to anything like that and I've never experienced anything like that. So I found it really strange and weird. Like I felt like it was like regression, like regressing back into childhood. So I found that strange. Yeah, so those were the episodes. So next time I think I'll because I couldn't like I thought it'd be fine for me to like recap this like a week later, but obviously as you guys can see, I can't really remember much from what happened in the episodes. So I think it's best if I do episode 14, 15, 16, and 17 and 18 straight after watching them because everything will be nice and fresh in my memory and I won't forget any parts that are important because I know I forgot a lot of bits in here and maybe I got confused with some other like I might have mingled all the episodes up like when I'm talking about the guests and what they wanted to try and stuff. I'm well aware of that. So I'm sorry if I did not get that all correct. I'll work on that for the next episode. And I believe season 2 is airing right now of Try Choo-ry. Choo-ry. And I think there's 12 episodes in season 2, but there's only currently, as I'm recording this, there's only what I'm scrolling down and I can see there's only 3 episodes up. So maybe I might wait. Maybe I might actually do episode by episode for the new season 2. Um, I'll have to wait and see how I feel about it. But like I said, I'm loving this series, and I've also started watching his YouTube channel as well, which I touched on in the previous episode. But I'm watching his episodes when he went to Coachella and when he went to the United States. So he went to LA and he went to a gun range, which was interesting. I saw that. I also saw him go to Starbucks. He was ordering there. He hired a Cybertruck. It's very interesting. I don't know why I'm finding him so interesting and looking at his life and watching this talk show, but I do find him interesting for some reason. I'm not really understanding why. Like, I'm sure like a lot of people are like he said he's not understanding why people are finding his videos on YouTube interesting, but I don't know, there's something about watching him that's like amusing yet not amusing, but I don't and entertaining, like don't know what it is, but I have watched quite a few of his YouTube videos now and I do find them entertaining, like I said. So I will continue watching those. And I'll continue watching this show and season 2 as well. So season 2, like I said, I'll just do episode by episode, recapping what I think of each episode because there's not many up right now. And that way I can like spread it out a bit as well. And also get on with other recaps with Mimi. So me and Mimi are actually going to be doing a recap of Squid Games as well, season 1 and season 2. So I think we'll break that down into season 1 on one episode and season 2 in the other episode. So yeah, if you haven't subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's TV Holics Anonymous, and then also subscribe to our social media like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Blue Sky, all that stuff. And Also, subscribe to the podcast as well on Spotify and all the other podcast platforms that host podcasts as well. And leave us a comment. Leave me a comment under this episode to tell me what you think of it. If you want to hear more about more Korean talk shows, or like try Choo-ry, or like more Choo Sung-hoon stuff, things that he's been in, please comment and let me know what you guys want. Let us know. Bye.